Well, we've reached the regular season finale. Eastern versus Central, Black Friday. Wrap us up the week that was against Kent State. Big win on the road, and now you get the chance to play CMU for the Michigan MAC Trophy.
Yes, Kent State seems like a long time ago. These extra couple days here in our MACtion schedule has really been good for us. Kent State, we won the turnover takeaway ratio, not by much, but we won it. That's four in a row now after tying 2 and losing 5 in our first 7. It's a big deal. We did a much better job with penalties. Was really glad to see that. And then special teams, our fake did not go the way that it needed to. But other than that, we did a pretty good job of special teams when you just look at the overall game. And then I think the story of that game, obviously Austin went down on the second play of the game, and we had to retool our plan, but we're down 17-7 going into halftime, and our locker room felt like a locker room should feel. There was just absolute belief that we were going to be victorious in that football game, and I think that showed the way that our guys came out. Our defense was just absolutely phenomenal. I think there was one series, that and they went down and scored, to make it a one-possession game, but just shut them down. And then offensively, we scored on every drive, except for the final one when we ran out the clock. And so, huge victory to bowl guarantee is what we would call it. And so we definitely celebrated that. And then looking forward to this week was Central Michigan, to second year in a row. Where I think that if they win, they keep the trophy, because it would be a sort of a round robin. But it's an opportunity for us to win the Michigan MAC, and to win 8 games, and to send a really good group of seniors out at the factory, the way that we really want to. So definitely looking forward to this week.
Tom?
Coach, looking at Central Michigan and possible inclement weather on Friday, it may rain. Do you think this game will be decided on the ground?
Well, they've been really creative. They're playing 3 quarterbacks right now. One, they don't have carry the ball. One is throwing it and carrying the ball, and doing both effectively. And then they've got a quarterback that's not throwing it as much, but is been rushing for crazy numbers. And obviously just coming into the season too, with having the leading rusher in all of football. I think that's absolutely what they're going to try to do, and that's what we need to do as well. So I do think that'll be a huge piece.
Coach, can you talk about Taylor Powell? He had that great performance against State. A little bit about his professionalism, and this will be his last game at home at Rynearson Stadium, and just what he's brought to the table this season for your offense.
Yeah, he was voted captain. After getting here last January, I've said that before. I just think that's a super impressive. That might not be the right word, but it is, though. It's impressive to be voted captain by, your teammates and coaches when, you haven't been here for 4 years or whatever it is. He got dinged up in the Arizona State game, and that's when Austin came in and did well, and there was some back and forth there. Started Austin, Kent State, and play 3. Taylor came in and ended up going 30 of 39 for 300 plus yards and a couple touchdowns, and it was just really neat, just focusing on that piece, just because of how he's handled, just like Austin had. They both want to play. They both want to be the starter and playing all the time and whatnot, but both those guys just have incredibly high character and have been supportive of each other and all of those things. And so, it has not been a divisive deal at all. And I always come at it from the fact that you're going to need two quarterbacks, to make it through a season, and we sure have, and we sure have to, and thankful for that.
Coach, talking about the seniors as a whole, their final game at Rynearson Stadium, could you talk just a little bit about what this senior class has meant to you? Some you've had the entire time, some, like Taylor Powell just mentioned, one season here. What has this senior class meant to you, and is there anything special that happens over the course of this week with the seniors going into that final home game?
Yeah, it's always a weird week. Thankfully, we know that it's not going to be our last week. We still treat it that way in a lot of ways. It's our last home game and all of that. There's always, a moment or a day or something like that, and during this week where, I start thinking about the seniors, and I'm like, well, we can't go on without them. It's just thinking about those guys, not being with us. I'm serious. It's like, no, those guys are Eastern Michigan football. They can't not be here. So it is a special group. They've accomplished a lot when you start looking at their careers as a whole, and still more to accomplish, of course. But those guys are the torchbearer leaders of our program, and we have some of the rising last year guys who joined that group as well. But so much of our culture, so many things are decided with them and through them, and they invest so much and put so much into this program, and you just want them to finish really, really strong with big smiles on their faces. It's a great group.
Coach, last question for me. Jose Ramirez, MAC Player of the Week. Can you talk about his ability to just keep his foot on the gas the entire season? There's been no quit in that guy.
No, that's not part of his DNA. There's a reason why he's voted captain. There's a reason why, even last year when the team during the season was just talking about, the hardest working, player in our program, he was the one that came out on top. He loves this game. He loves it. And his desire, to be great and for our team to be great. When we lost to Toledo, it was hard on a lot of people. It was hard on all of us for sure. And, Jose and I, we that was our 10-day break or whatever. But a couple of days into that, he and I probably met for about an hour and a half, just trying to work through all of that. It means so much to him, and everybody in our program knows it. And he's a special human being who is really talented and is definitely a very strong leader for us.
Thank you, Coach.
Coach, in parts of the year where, when you're having like this 1-2 game wins in a row, you're always trying to stack your wins to get to the third. This is that time where you can get that third, but you're also coming at a time where you're motivating your team with the rivalry. You have to be central. How much of the conversation is staying true to yourself to where, hey, let's stack these 3 wins in a row, and how much of the conversation is, hey, we have our rivalry in front of us more than anything?
Yeah, I think that you can do both. I think that if you are thinking about this game prior to this week, that's the problem. But now that it's this week, we're always focusing on the opponent, obviously, right? And so, the fact that this is for the Michigan MAC Trophy, you never hide the facts from guys, right? Or why would you want to? When we talked about the Western Michigan game in that week, we talked about it being a sort of semifinal, right? If you don't come out on top that week, then there is no playing for the Michigan MAC Trophy. and that was half a season ago, right? But at the same time, I think our guys, way back when knew that, there was no trophy after the Western Michigan game. But our guys were pretty locked in and focused and played really well on that day. And so you put all of that on hold, until this week. Well, now, it's part two. And so that's not going to change, how we run our practice or our preparation or anything like that. But there's definitely an awareness, that we're playing for the Michigan MAC trophy.
For you personally, since you're finishing up your 9th year here, does it add like a little bit more motivation because you haven't had that Michigan MAC?
Absolutely. Oh yeah, absolutely. I mean, more motivation. I understand the question, but I was 100% motivated for Kent State, and I knew that there wasn't going to be a trophy. There's a bowl guarantee, but so. Yeah, I mean, more motivated is weird. I understand the question, but I don't dip down to 70% motivation for games. There's no question though that I want our guys to experience hoisting, a trophy and celebrating together, playing well as an entire team. Together. We've had 5 straight road wins. Well, one of the first things that you think about is there's guys who are, watching it on TV, who are on our team. And that stinks. They haven't been in the locker room for those. And when you're at home, when you're playing for a Michigan MAC trophy and chance to have 8 wins and all of those things, I think we all want to be together. To accomplish something together. Okay.
This will be the 100th time that these two programs have met a MAC record leading in that category. When you look at the overall scale of saying that no teams in the MAC have ever met more, that kind of comes as a surprise to you a little bit that Eastern and Central have met more than any of the MAC teams have?
I had no idea. I had no idea. That definitely should be talked about more. That's a really big deal. 100 years. This is the century game. I love history and tradition and the fact that, schools a little over 2 hours apart, played that many times. That's really cool.